Reinhardt just kind of having a free will to walk forward. And oh my God, this Genji is absolutely popping off.
Sure, you need these picks. You need to go in here. The dually is going to quickly and swiftly dodge roll to take down that Nautilus here, securing the top. Not quite going to get this pick right here, but you're going to take down the reflux. Low board into the level 3. Oh my God. Yo.
Oh, he's done for. He is done for.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the WSSEA Fall 2024 postseason. We are into the semifinals. We've got an exciting best of 3 here for you today. But first, I've got to introduce the legend here to my digital left, Nyarko, and his wonderful bird.
Yeah, my bird seems to be phased into the background right now, but I'll tell you what is front and center right now, Hot Sauce. A really great match here of Overwatch 2. We've been documenting this playoff bracket, and so far things have been spicy, and I think it's about to reach ahead tonight.
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams are undefeated, 6-0. I know we got to see Prairie earlier in that quarterfinals as well, where they had a very dominating performance, a 2-0 sweep. Prairie, this is their debut in Overwatch as well, so really making waves in their first season. Kennedy Catholic, they've been around for a while. They've had a lot of success in FPSs as well. So it's kind of like a new team versus an old team. But again, just a plethora of talent littered across both of these teams. Going to be an exciting one here today.
Yeah, already seen statement making games out of both of them, and you know they're so close, not only in terms of record but in terms of the mark that they're about to leave here on WSSEA. Even as we have one as a new entrant, one as having a little bit more of a history. Fact of the matter is they've run through teams all the same, remaining completely undefeated up until this tension and meeting point. So as we dive into that one, of course, I think it's probably best, Hot Sauce, that we first jump in and thank some of the sponsors that makes this broadcast possible. The first one, of course, is ZOTAC. We want to give a huge shout out to them. Time and time again, they are coming
states here and over 150 plus different events a year. So we strongly encourage you to head on over to LANFest.com. Check out the page, check out those local chapters, and hopefully find an event near you as well.
Yeah, and of course, bringing up the pack is Seattle-built PCs, who's one of those local heroes really empowering WSSEA from that ground floor, as they are custom PC builders who, since 2020, have been building incredible rigs for esports players, content creators with millions of fans, and even the developers of your favorite games. So,
the sponsors here today, we certainly appreciate each and every one of them, but I, Nyarko, am excited to get into the action again. We haven't had too many undefeated teams clash head-to-head throughout the regular season. You know, we did see a kind of a lot of those 2-0 games, so now
yeah, exciting. Perhaps we will be able to finally cast a full series that has eluded us time and time again, Hot Sauce. Luckily, so far, we are getting into a few different maps. You know, we'll control first. We will be on Samoa. And of course, on the volcano level. This should be an interesting one. A lot of tight choke points, and I think real good momentum is often achieved as soon as you're able to touch first and capture first. So I think this first fight is going to be a real statement maker for the entire course of the series. Let's see who's able to come out on top.
Yeah, you know, and I actually like this sub map quite a bit. I think it's the beach one. I'm not 100% sure, but there's one that I just never have any success on. But I do enjoy this little sub map here as well. Very symmetrical, obviously. But, you know, I look to see who's going to roll out very, very quickly here. We saw Senator Slime have a ton of success on that Junker Queen last time. Beyonce, especially Dawn as well on that Genji. So, but now maybe a little bit tougher of a matchup here for them today. Char on the Reinhardt, though, which is something that we haven't seen a ton of this season, at least in this WSSEA division. So I'm excited for a little change up in things. Of course, Junkrat can be incredibly annoying on this map as well.
Yeah, notably, I think that Kara going over to this Reinhardt makes a lot of sense, particularly if they were able to scout out Senator Slime, who is going towards that favorite Junker Queen. Being able to get up close and personal and actually win a swinging out duel versus this character, I think, is going to be really important for their side. Shout already used, Beyonce at half health, trying to stabilize on this push. Right now, movement power back over to Red Squad side, and now we're in the eyes of Dawn. This Genji has been such a highlight maker, and once again, trying to run through, this time onto the enemy Ash. Deflect will be able to get them out to safety, but that was still not a pick achieved by either side. This is looking like a slow roll right now. Red Squad will be able to pick up touch on point, but I don't know what that's going to turn into. Cooper, Mimi, both dead. Shadow Storm going to follow, and there we go. That's what I was looking for as an opening. Prairie High School will take it and now move up to 16%.
Yeah, and even though there was quite a bit of a standoff there, Prairie was able to capture that point initially, so all that fighting on or around the point, just great for them as they continue to pad that percentage, and now some early success. And again, this is their debut season here in Overwatch, so certainly have been putting in a lot of work throughout the regular season to get to this spot in the postseason as well. And now starting off this first fight very, very nicely here. This next one's going to be a big one as we get a little bit closer to the ults. We can see Kara there already has the Earth Shatter, and should be coming out here soon. We do get to see it drop. Now can they get any value there? Brigitte gonna rally up here, and it's Senator Slime, not quite. It's actually gonna be Ash who finds the first pick. There is a trade back, and with the tank down on the side of Kennedy Catholic, it could spell trouble.
Yeah, I think that right now Prairie High School is able to stabilize and bring a little bit more value to the table, given that Senator Slime is still alive, and now activating that Rampage. Kara gonna swap over to the Orisa, but won't make it back to the fight in time as Mimi and Beelzebub will both fall. This is going to be another one fight for the side of Prairie, and as they continue to relegate Kennedy Catholic past this choke point on their side spawn, I think with 75% in the bag and only one ult available for blue team, this first sub-map could just be going the way of Prairie.
Yeah, we see Kara swapping to that Orisa to see if they can try to maybe push their way in a bit here, but this stand from Prairie has been extremely nice for the time being. Oh, the blades coming out. Dawn, Senator, too salty, all finding picks here as well, and Beyonce on that Reaper, not far away from the ult here as well. Unfortunately, that is a team kill, and there's no way they're going to be able to make it back here in time.
And what this is giving me pause for thought on Hot Sauce is that we're seeing Prairie play really well adapted to maps, to what the enemy is bringing to the table. Kennedy Catholic clearly has great fundamentals, but can they get that extra little bit more of adaptivity that really is brought to bear here in the realm of high school esports? I was thinking that some of these picks, especially when we're seeing the Sombra stacked with the Ash, they weren't able to get the damage necessary to be able to answer back against the hit and run playstyle of Prairie that was spearheaded by Senator Slime.
Yeah, I mean, just Slime being a disruption in that backline, and then you also have to worry about that Genji coming in and out. And then, of course, there's Reaper there as well. I mean, they really run this comp to a T. We saw it last week in their quarterfinals. We do see Kara, switching over to the Sigma this time. Not a lot of change as far as the DPS. The Ash will go to the Widow, which is still kind of very similar. This is that sub-map power I was talking about earlier, which I think is Beach, that always just brings trouble for me. So we'll see if somehow Kennedy can bring it back to maybe a best of 3 within this sub-map series.
Yeah, that being said, this is always one of those maps that comes in at the very end when you're already getting demoralized. So hopefully Kennedy will be able to dig their heels in, but I'm right there with you. This is a tough one to try to navigate so far, though. Good trades on either side. Kennedy Catholic bringing the fight. The problem is Widowmaker is deep in no man's land with Senator Slime at their back. We get the knife snipe to open up in favor of Red Squad, who now with Senator Slime is trying to force back onto the point. Right now, touch percentage was slowly moving over to Kennedy Catholic, and notably, Kara is still alive playing this Sigma. Unfortunately, they will be run down. Senator Slime able to get the fadeaway shots, make it a double-double as Too Salty For You gets in on the action, knocking away Cooper, and once again, Prairie comes out on top.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it was Senator Slime that we were casting in that quarterfinals that was that top 500 player as well, and we get to see it here again, that beautiful knife to open things up, later finding a double as well. And I mean, we see some switches coming out here. The Sombra as well, who hasn't been as popular with some of those nerfs in that recent past here, but we'll see if they can have some success. Senator is dangerously low here. Not much more than 10% health there, but does get tipped back up here. Dawn now trying to find their way into the back line as well, and Senator able to find the first pick on the Cooper. The snipe will come in. Dawn does get traded back, but Senator right there to find that second pick as well, and has been an absolute huge game changer here for Prairie.
Yeah, the fact that Kennedy Catholic High School has no choice but to continue to force this is also worrisome. We will manage to see a solid pushback and a pick on the Senator Slime come out, but Kara had to burn ult for that to happen, and still you can see the cap hasn't come through just yet for Kennedy Catholic. They have to try to roll in as a staggered group, and while they finally do get the recap, look at the resources. Beyonce with that Death Blossom is going to be a centerpiece for the team.
Yeah, luckily they have the Kitsune rush. They have Cooper, who with on about to get the ult here. Widow not far away as well, so potentially they could win at least one more fight. The problem is that Prairie's already built more than 55% here, 55%. So for Kennedy, they're going to have to win multiple fights in a row if they want to find a way to get back into this one.
All right, Beelzebub going to be dropping that Kitsune rush. Mimi dies, though. Unfortunately, the rush down actually seems to be going about even between these two teams. Prairie did lose 2 on the back end, but they are going to be up on a tempo advantage as Mimi and Shadowstorm are unable to extricate themselves from the situation. 3 ultimates available for Blue Squad's side, but the percentage is not favoring them as now Beyonce is on the prowl looking for even more. They have the deep shove into enemy territory as well as the recap, and given they also have those 3 ults of their own, they are in a great spot to just take this 2-0.
Yeah, now, we talked about how important, alt economy can be here, and now we see some of those alts getting staggered out. It does look like the Widow had already popped theirs as well for that intel, so only 2 to work with, and we are going to see some coming out on the side of Prairie here as well as they begin to pressure into the site. Mr. Meowski finding the first pick on the Somber from that Juno as well. Salty's going to get the other support, and without having a support, your life gets significantly more difficult here. They're going to have to back off, try to regroup, but Prairie just wanting to hunt them down, find these picks, and kind of look to stagger them a bit here.
And we talk a ton about Senator Slime, and for good reason. They are the tempo setter for the team. They are that top 500 player that has brought Prairie High School so much glory here, Hot Sauce. But really, what we saw out of that fight was a collective 5-stack playing like the pros. The patience we saw out of Dawn after the MP was dropped to not just try to force Dragon Blade and instead just wait and bring the fight down to the correct tempo for Prairie to win shows just how deadly these guys are. And here and now, Beyonce unleashing a Death Blossom. I do believe that will be enough to bring them up for the first map on the cusp of moving deeper into the bracket.
Yeah, just again, they do a great job of staggering out the alts, of finding a lot of success early on, and then they continue to just run with it. We see Diva trying to get back to the hill, already DMAC. The overtime fuse will be lit, but you're just staggering in. You're buying a little extra time. Unfortunately for Beyonce, they're taken out by that mech, so a bit of success, looking to bring this one back a bit. 2 members have fallen here for Prairie. Senator Slime holding on here, fighting tooth and nail on the point, but they still have the tank up. Senator does get Beelzebub in the mix. Dawn is going to pop the ult here for Genji as well, and they're going to need a lot of value out of this.
And unfortunately, they will not be able to find it as one after another Kennedy Catholic High School will lose their players. They will also drop Samoa.
A tough one, though. I mean, at least Kennedy was able to battle back. We saw in that first sub map there, it was 100-0. So at least showing some signs of life and fighting tooth and nail through this one. Unfortunately, they weren't able to grab it, but maybe that can be a little bit of a confidence booster heading into this next map as we take a quick look at the play of the game. And who else but Senator Slime finding a 2-piece early, dropping the axe. Ain't no coming back from that. The triple, the quadra, you name it, just absolutely putting in work on this Junker Queen. And in that previous week, we saw them play multiple different tanks as well. That might be something that we see here going forward, as we do have Hybrid coming up next, and that will be up to Kennedy Catholic to decide where we head as far as that map goes.
Oh, Hot Sauce, I'm a little bit worried. While it is map choice over to Kennedy Catholic High School, to your point here, we saw a lot of flexibility out of Senator Slime, but frankly, right now, I'm not seeing any reason to have to use that flexibility to flex your flexibility, as we're going to say. And part of that comes down to the fact, you look at who's swapping. It's Kara time and time again, feeling the pressure on a variety of picks that I thought would work relatively well into the Junker Queen. Reinhardt was the first one that came out, did not go anywhere. We saw the Orisa, we saw the Diva, we saw the Sigma, and unfortunately, every single one of them fell to the knives, fell to the shotgun, fell to the 4 other members of Prairie High School that are really writing their names in the history as a cornerstone of WSSEA.
Yeah, I mean, they play like a cohesive unit so well. And a lot of times, we see some moments of shining greatness in a lot of these teams, but to consistently play well week in and week out for the full 3 minutes of each map, or, whatever it might be, whether it's control or hybrid, but they consistently play so extremely well together, the team communication. And, I'd love to hear that IGL going on there as well, because whoever it is does a really good job of keeping them focused on the task at hand. It seems like they come with a game plan. They execute it near flawlessly as well. Their target acquisition, the basic fundamentals, I mean, you name it. Everything from the stars seem to be aligning here for Prairie.
Well, Hot Sauce, unfortunately, it looks like from an astrologist's perspective, we're a bit unlucky because it's another game of King's Row. I don't know how many it's been on the season for you, either here or in your other Overwatch broadcasts, but I know that there in PIEA, it's ubiquitous, I think is the term that I can use that is high school friendly.
Yeah, I mean, it's King's Row. I mean, at this point, we should come donning our own crowns here in Nyarko because we are the kings of King's Row at this point. But, you know, and again, I think it just comes back to that comfortability pick. It's a map that they know that they can dominate on time and time again. But, you know, for me, it goes back to the same thing. You gotta feel like your opponent is equally as comfortable on that map because it is probably one of the most, if not the most common map that you get to see. So for me, I like when teams go off of that a little bit, maybe practice a map that people don't play very often at all. So that way, when you bring it up in a playoff situation like this, maybe your opponents aren't as comfortable or as familiar with running strats on that map. You know, Kennedy maybe going for that comfortability pick, but we know Prairie is very, very good at this map. We saw it in the quarterfinals where they didn't even allow I don't think they allowed the opponent to even unlock the payload.
Yeah, either that or it was very close. Like I said, played a lot of games on here, casted even more. At this point, everything kind of blends together. Yeah. It is very easy, I think, to get a take with a single core pick, and I do think that dynamic could service Kennedy Catholic. Because Mimi is something of a Widowmaker specialist, it appears, and they will in fact be jamming it again. So if you are able to get value early, all of a sudden Prairie really has no choice except to respect it, fall back, and actually give the potential to take, or on the other side, the potential to defend, as it will be Mimi going up first with the rest of their team on the defense to try to stop the Prairie Waves from crashing on in. Notably, this composition is a bit interesting. I like a lot of the individual selections here. Shadowstorm, I think on the Reaper is kind of a necessity given that Mimi is on that Widowmaker, but is Lifeweaver Lucio actually going to be able to do enough healing for Kara, who has to get deep in the action?
Yeah, you know, that I'm not too sure about. Interesting enough, you know, again, Kennedy's map pick, but Prairie going to opt to go to attack first. We've seen him kind of go to the defense side first, but in the previous maps, but maybe they're wanting a little extra play time here. So starting out on the attack, looking to kind of put the pressure onto Kennedy here as well. So we'll see if this Widow can unlock some early success or if it will be Senator Slime pushing in once more.
Well, at this point, you know that the Widowmaker is there, and therefore Senator Slime immediately has a target going to be brought to bear upon Mimi, and already with that pick, we talked about how it goes one way for that Widowmaker, but it also goes the opposite direction as well. This should probably be enough for Prairie to just pick up point, but notably, Kara is able to get that fadeaway kill onto Too Salty for you. The problem is with Cooper, dead Beelzebub just has to respect the space spot by the red side team, and it looks like that will, in fact, be enough for a pretty rapid first point take.
Yeah, pretty rapid indeed. I think might even be an understatement. We see these guys. Oh, but a nice shot from Mimi from up top on that Widow. You talked about the specialist, and now we get to see a little piece of that action. Unfortunately, a lot of these characters here for Prairie are good at kind of stifling that Widow, and that's exactly what we see immediately from Beyonce. They've already unlocked the point here as well. The payload will begin to roll toward that first checkpoint as well. And with 5 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock, if you're Prairie High School at this point, you're still feeling pretty comfortable.
Yeah, good yoink there to try to stabilize Shadowstorm. Unfortunately, it doesn't buy them enough space. And Senator Slime with the Rampage is going to lead the charge right in there. And I love the fact that we are immediately seeing them use their advantage. A lot of the times, players and teams that get a good one fight don't realize that in order to enact the full brunt of it, you need to start popping those ults as soon as they come up in order to stay on tempo. Now, what we're seeing from Kennedy Catholic High School is getting even more concerning. That is a Mercy Lucio combo.
Hey, I mean, maybe they're just looking for something that works here at this point.
I mean, that is a big hammer down. Unfortunately, Mr. Meowski, the only one actually going to directly fall from it. Senator Slime somehow able to get out of there. Cooper will be able to rush out Too Salty for you, but Shadowstorm is traded on the back end of this one. But finally, the floodgates open, and we do have a one fight from Kennedy Catholic High School. So perhaps you're right, Hot Sauce. Perhaps we can see value. This is a notoriously low heal per second pick, though. And I do wonder if that is going to be something that could become a problem, given that you have characters like Beyonce on this Reaper and Dawn on this Tracer that can bring someone to a brink in an instant, and you really need burst healing to try to stabilize against that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could kind of count on your own Reaper to look for those heals themselves, but same with Widow, you know, kind of staying out of that line of sight. So potentially it's something that could work for him. Maybe it's something that Prairie's not used to, but again, we see some ults being dropped here as well. Kara's going to find that first one. Senator Slime, Beyonce, Dawn with a two-piece of their own, and just when it looks like Kennedy's starting to have some success in a matter of moments, Prairie just taking it right from the grasp of their fingers.
Yeah, the problem with the ebb and flow of this game is that, and I really do think this is the case at every level of Overwatch, the expectation should not be that you win every fight. It is about the value gained in between fights and the tempo that you play at. And so we saw a one fight from Kennedy Catholic High School, but that doesn't throw Prairie High School off the game plan. They're expecting that. They're pros. They've been in many a close game up until this point. And so Hot Sauce, what's coming from that is them finding a rallying point, finding the inflection to get back into this one to make the most of the situation. We got the Valkyrie activated, but that is going to be a three-man anti-healing. Cooper just cannot get out alive, neither can Kara, and once again Prairie High School showing their dominance to try to push this towards that second point.
Huge res coming out from the Mercy, but it's only going to last for a little while as well, as Dawn and Beyonce will combine for the final two, and they just continue to push this payload. You take a look at the clock, 4 minutes on the clock is a ton of time for this point as well. And again, you nailed it. I mean, you're going to eventually at some point win a battle, right? But it doesn't stifle Prairie at all. They regroup, they stick to their game plan, and they continue to execute so well.
All right, well, now we're on to this legendary final point, and really, this is where the greatest players are able to strut their stuff. I mean, Hot Sauce, time and time again, we've seen people dig their heels in and make the most of their hold in this situation, but unfortunately, Mimi already dropping, has swapped over to that Cassidy, and Shadowstorm, I think, is soon to follow. Shot out of the air there by Prairie's representative in the form of that Tracer, and I think this is going to be enough for that slow push to continue in favor of Red Squad. Dawn is going to die on the back end of this one. Takara will swap back over to the Sigma, but with Beelzebub gone, we will need to see a miracle pulled out here, and it looks like Mimi may have found it. Going over to the Bastion, that's going to be a triple pick here for Blue Squad to try to bring it back, and it looks like they will be able to get enough kills done to stop the push right before the very end.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a good stop, but with 2:50 on the clock, with Senator Slime at 82%, Beyonce at 82%, Salty with an ult, Meowski not too far away. I do worry just a bit. Kara almost has the ult here for Sigma. The Melody might come out sooner than later. Cooper, the Kitsune Rush, not too far away as well, but for me, the ult economy just looks a little bit better here for Prairie.
All right, around the corner, Sigma gonna pop the ultimate early in this one, and will be able to at least bring Mr. Meowski down to the ground. And with the follow through from Mimi, I think this could be another slow tempo fight that goes in favor of Blue Squad. Cooper has a Kitsune Rush to try to ensure that there are no survivors from this one, but Senator Slime is playing up against the wall quite nicely, getting around the choke points and ensuring that this fight can continue as Mr. Meowski is now back up. Too salty for you, trying to lead the charge right back in here, and a Rampage is activated. That's going to be a double anti-heal coming through. Beelzebub at less than half health. Mimi already dead. Shadowstorm will fall too. Cooper trying to bring this one back, but Kara unfortunately is going to be wiped as the orbital laser gets dropped, and that should be enough for Prairie to walk this in. A minute 40 seconds on the clock, and this will be the tipping point of the series. Will we see Kennedy Catholic High School be able to hold?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, at this point, they're just going to continue to stagger in and hopefully just buy any additional time off of that clock, which is what we see here. Beelzebub going for a dangerous res, somehow gets it, and Kara in here able to buy just a little bit more time, about an extra 10 seconds off the clock. So, I mean, we saw him with about 4 minutes at that checkpoint there. So the fact that Kennedy was able to turn it around a little bit and kind of dwindle that time down to that minute and 20 mark, it is a pretty tall feat on its own. But now on the reverse side of things, how quickly can they unlock and push this payload? A lot of teams have struggled against Prairie at this point as well. So for me, that's going to be the interesting tell. Can they get that payload unlocked early? Can they give themselves plenty of extra time to begin that push?
Yeah, it's a real question. Now, minute 20 on the clock is certainly a matchable time. The fact of the matter is, though, in order to have a shot at taking this deeper, the best he can do is move it to an overtime. If he could do so with the time advantage, so be it. Kennedy Catholic High School has a shot here, but giving Prairie High School this much space to begin with is a rough place to be. And now on the defense, I think we got a really solid set of players to make the most of this map's eccentricities. And this goes to your point from earlier, Hot Sauce, about the comfort for either side. Kennedy Catholic were the ones who decided to choose to play Kings Row. But I mean, Prairie High School has adapted to this situation. That's why they're channeling Senator Slime onto this Malga here. And frankly, we've seen this character be a menace in the hands of so many different players at a variety of skill levels. What is going to happen when you put him in the hands of the top 500?
Yeah, I mean, we saw Senator Slime do this exact thing on defense in that previous week as well, and Don off of that Tracer back to the Genji here as well. So it could spell a little bit of trouble, but again, we saw Mimi hit some crazy shots on that Widow. That could be a big game changer if they're able to have some success, from this Widow's window.
All right, already, though, pretty deep shove. I'm liking the Malgamira coming out, and so far, it looks like Kara's actually winning the Hell trade for the time being. Unfortunately, the slow roll back across the side of the statue is going to force Beelzebub to use their invincibility early, but it looks like it's coming at the right time. Kara will be able to get a headshot on the Senator Slime. Cooper actually is going to boop back the enemy Reaper, and that should be enough for a take.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's looking like Kennedy is unlocking this point a little bit quicker than Prairie did as well. So, again, that's something else that could be a huge confidence booster for the squad. And now they've got 5:45, almost an extra 45 seconds than what Prairie had at this point. So, things looking good, and maybe we could be blessed with our first elusive map number 3.
Oh yeah, I would love to be able to see it, but unfortunately Kennedy Catholic High School still have a mountain to climb here. Good time on that first point, but can they keep that going in the second? This is really where we begin to see people pull away. It becomes a lot more about the tempo and how you're winning fights. Right now, though, Mimi certainly is making the most of this Widowmaker pick. Too salty for you falling means that Kennedy Catholic High School will be able to push up without Prairie High School resisting a whole lot here. They need to be able to respect the man advantage.
Yeah, you got again, you want to make sure that you don't continue to stagger in here, and that's what we see from Senator Slime, just hanging back here, waiting for the crew to get into place. There's still another really good choke point right here at the end of this little road, so they have plenty of time to work with. We do see him kind of getting into the back line here as well. The Kitsute, and Mimi actually goes down, so both DPS fall here as well. Cooper's going to be the next to go, and with that, Prairie having a lot of success on this secondary stand.
Oh, absolutely the case. Senator Slime doing a great job heralding their team and rallying them back in order to try to continue to keep Prairie High School's chances of a 2-0 alive. And this goes back to that other side of the coin we were talking about, the collective strength and the ability to just IGL in dicey situations. Now, that being said, there's a lot of ults that are currently favoring Red Squad, but Senator Slime wants to try to make the most out of this cage fight. Maybe goes a little bit too deep. Here comes the response. Kara going to have this one up for a little bit longer. The question is, will they be able to sustain through all the damage that is being brought to bear against the enemy team? Beelzebub going to use the Kitsune Rush now, trying to push back against the Red Squad, and it looks like with that in mind, Prairie High School will back off.
Yeah, Senator Slime did find the pick onto the tank, though, as well. And so with that, we see Shadow Storm going down, Beelzebub going down as well. Cooper, Mimi have those ults, but need to wait for the team to regroup. So after a really great first initial push here from Kennedy, it's been Prairie who's making the proper adjustments and finding ways to answer back.
All right, Beyonce trying to find a flank point. Mimi is staggered right now, and look at how deep Prairie are willing to go. I said that they were retreating, but the answer back is that as soon as they get an inch, they're going to try to take a mile. Too salty for you, though. I think may have been a bit too far forward there. And so this is Kennedy Catholic's chance. If they can open up, get a kill here, you stop Dawn and Beyonce's ults from being used immediately, and in turn, you may be able to get a second point out of this.
Yeah, we'll see if they can find that push. Don has the ult, though, and this could be a dangerous play ahead. The Death Blossom is there as well. The rally, I mean, they really have a lot of utility here to be kind of at their disposition, and Mr. Meowski will find the first pick on to Mimi as well. And with that, Kara's going to go down. All these early picks without finding any of this value here. Shadowstorm's going to eventually drop the Death Blossom of their own, but they had already lost so many members, and we see Salty, Senator Slime able to just clean up here. And again, they're probably going to be very, very aggressive on this respawn.
Yeah, I mean, they need to be, right? Like, your answer here and now is to push the gas, all gas, no brakes. You really want to be able to get towards that point before you fall beyond the minute 20-second boundary. We talked about how it's so difficult to come back, particularly if it's not final point, if you're in that time disadvantage. And now Senator Slime is looking to slow the roll even more. Another cage match is going to come out right around the corner here. Response is going to be a little bit of damage coming upon them. Makara is just taking the full brunt of Beyonce right on top of them. Dawn is going to die as a response here, but unfortunately, it's a 3-for-1 trade so far, and yet again, Prairie are holding.
Yeah, nice. I mean, we saw just such a great initial explosion, a great initial push coming out from Kennedy, but now Prairie finding ways to slow them down a little bit. That payload has just kind of stalled out here around this little twisty turn section, and so for that, Senator and them, they have a great hold here at the moment. We don't see a ton of swaps coming out. Mimi is going to get onto this Junkrat. Shadowstorm, though, onto the Venture, so Venture is certainly very, very devastating in that backline. We'll see if they can maybe get a little bit of success here from that.
All right, trying to make the most of this situation. Ult Wombo Combo coming down. They will be able to get 3 kills for their efforts. While we still do see a hold from Prairie High School, it is going to fade away. Dawn trying to keep their life, knowing that if they get staggered here, Prairie will not be able to land one last attempt at a push. And still 5 stack on top of the cart. Will not get that opportunity here. One last least on life for any Catholic High School to make the most of this situation, but from above, Dawn trying to dive in. Shadowstorm going to be able to get the kill, start things off early in favor of Kenny Catholic High School as they look for the touch. 2 meters left on the clock. Makara goes down. Senator Slime jamming him. Beyonce at their back, and look what's happening. Beelzebub with no way to stabilize Cooper, just has to run with the tail between their legs, and Mimi, meanwhile, will not be able to make it out alive. Shadowstorm flop it over to the Venture, looking to play deep. Unfortunately, it comes too little too late as Dawn returns to the battlefield and cleans up.
Yeah, and that's so rough. Just 2 meters away, which means you have a very long walk back. You have the Riptire, but you need somebody to get there as well. Shadowstorm's not far from that ult. If they can find a way to touch here and contest, pop these ults, they very well could maybe make that final push and extend just a little extra time. But with 3 seconds on the clock, somebody's got to get there now.
Oh, the Riptire going to be denied by the cage fight right at the last second. Cooper and Beelzebub are dead. That should be enough for Prairie High School to move on.
Unreal. I mean, they're still fighting with this overtime fuse lit. We will see the team kill eventually come in, but unfortunately that Riptire not getting any value there and really just kind of allowing Prairie to solidify that win.
Unbelievable stuff, Hot Sauce. Up until the very end, it was excellence from Prairie matched up against Kennedy Catholic High School. It feels almost like a changing of the guard in the way the new kids on the block here in Wasia showing out against one of the most competitive teams that the league has seen in past years.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Kennedy Catholic, right, you hold your head high. You had an undefeated season. You were completely undefeated up until this point. And if you're going to go out, what better way to go out than to another undefeated team? So it just goes to show you how much talent, how much skill is across this Wasia League. But for Prairie, I mean, this is exciting, right? This is your debut into Overwatch. You had a phenomenal regular season. You're still undefeated here in the postseason. And now you're heading to the championships as well with an opportunity to hoist that trophy your first year in Overwatch.
I mean, honestly, I don't really know if anyone can stop them at this point, Hot Sauce. This is one of their biggest challenges, right? The 2-3 seed versus the 3 seed, both undefeated, both 2-0ing in their quarterfinal matchup. I mean, really, what else can you bring to the table? What firepower is there to try to stop Prairie on this historic run?
Yeah, I think, you know, I don't know who's going on to that championship on the other side, the 1 or the 4 seed, but, you know, if I'm them, I'm doing some VOD review. I'm checking out Senator Slime on this Junker Queen. Maybe I'm staying away from Kings Row. I don't know. How do you stop him? That is correct. And I'm glad that I don't have to come up with that answer in the article. I'm glad that I just get to call the action because certainly an incredibly scary team.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely going to be a tough task to try to answer back against what these players are packing on the side of Prairie. But I'm sure that on the side of the bracket, everybody is looking to carry that crown and not just try to be a blip on the radar against these guys. But, you know, as you say, we're calling the action. and there certainly is a lot more of that to come. I believe up next we will have Street Fighter starting Monday.
Yeah, we're gonna a nice little weekend break here so everybody can rest up and get prepared for those championships coming up next week. And unfortunately, that elusive game number 3 does elude us just a little bit longer. Another short but sweet night here for us at WSSEA. But again, we would like to take a moment to thank all the sponsors: ZOTAC, LANFest, Seattle Built PCs, excuse me. Thank you all for your sponsorships and the continued support as well. And of course, everybody behind the scenes helping make the stream run so smoothly. Connie, Taylor, always doing a wonderful job. We certainly appreciate each and every one of you guys as well. And then, of course, everybody hanging out with us in chat. So we appreciate everybody showing up and having a good time with us. Hopefully you had as much fun as we had here tonight. And as Nyarko said, we look forward to seeing you back here on Monday. That legend over there is Nyarko. My name is Hot Sauce. You all have been amazing. And we certainly hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend.